I can't wait to get back on the road again. Back again. Dude, like for the baggers.
Back home again.
Back home again.
In
Indiana land.
All right, welcome to the Dirtyard Dish here, episode 2 with Circle City Wiffle Ball. In this episode, we'll be talking with our guest, Dan Miller, and give you some mid-season highlights and notes that we've noticed as now that we are roughly 9 games and, 1 month in total into the season. 6 weeks from now, we'll be crowning a champion, and then 1 week after that, we will have our charity all-star game. But I'll turn it over to Dudas, and he will introduce our guest more formally.
Yeah, so we've got the coach, the manager of the upstart Crazy Fat Kids, who have now won infinitely more games this year than they did all of last season. They're 2-7. I know it's not glamorous, but they've beaten, was it the Moonshots?
Yeah.
Twice, yeah. So they were in the top 3 of our title favorites. That's the
we
team.
Almost pulled off a Noodler's upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they beat a good team twice. They've come really close to a couple more wins. Basically, he's cut a lot of dead weight. He's competing this year. He's got 5 or 6 really solid players, and it's really elevated, I think, the entire quality of the league because we don't have a doormat team anymore. You can't just, it used to be when you're playing the Crazy Fat Kids that you showed up to the ballpark, you're like, okay, how many RBIs, how many home runs can I get tonight? Like that's what you were looking forward to, but that's not it anymore. I think you honestly, I need to go look back and look at it. Before you added those Hounds players, I don't think the last 2 years you probably had 2 wins combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we did. And then the wins that we did have the first year, official year of the Crazy Fat Kids, we added some, at the time, unofficial Hounds players because the Hounds didn't exist yet.
I guess, yeah, you can be kind of credited with ushering in the Hounds era for Circle City Wiffle.
So, and for the record, all these players on this team, they're not crazy, nor are they fat kids.
No.
We actually have some pretty athletic guys.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, where do you find these guys? Like, it just seems like a random group of players. You've mixed them in over the last couple years, but now you've got like a solid core of guys who are committed. So how do you know them? Where do you find them?
Yeah, so it's really interesting trying to find players for wiffle ball. I think the biggest thing, and I think you guys probably see that across the board, is just trying to get new players.
Mm-hmm.
When you tell somebody you play wiffle ball, they kind of give you that look or that kind of laugh, and then you show them a picture and you're like, oh, like this is a real thing, and this actually looks pretty cool. So the big thing is selling them on it and getting people to come out and actually buy into it. And once they come out, I feel like most people are hooked.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Once you come once, that's it. That's how it was for me 4 years ago. Dudas invited me out, and that was back when we were the porpoises, I think.
Okay.
No, you were the manatees.
Manatees,
Yeah.
close, same thing.
Yeah.
So you got to get people to buy into it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And then when I do, I do search high and low and all over. I think the first year for the Fat Kids really showed that. I had some people that were not athletic, that smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
They brought 8 different kids to the park that all just sprinted around and caused havoc.
Absolute mayhem.
Goodness.
Yeah, so that was
Called
tough.
himself Wiffle King.
Oh my gosh, I remember him. Wow.
He just wouldn't swing.
No, and then I had a professor. He's still actually technically on the roster. I've got a jersey for him. He wants to come out to a couple of games. And then as far as like newer guys, I don't even know where I found Stark. I think it was via you. You knew somebody that...
And that's the thing. So any new guy that reaches out, it's typically the last 2 or 3 teams on the standings that are in need of players. So anybody like Rudy reached out, and McFarland and Stark, and I really have no way of determining how good they are before they come out and play. So it's a body, and I just contact these teams and and send them there.
And Stark, for what it's worth, I think his first year out was last year, and he was okay.
Yeah.
I think this year he's completely 180'd as far as like the trajectory. Like
Somehow he's gotten better as the pitching has gotten faster. Yeah. He throws more strikes. He hits the ball better. It's
wild. Yeah. So I don't know what switch flip, but good job, buddy.
Good job.
It's been incredible. And so some of them has come from him. Some people I've met at work that I know were either college athletes or athletic enough that I thought maybe could bring something. Wiffle ball is one of those crazy sports where you could suck at a lot of things, but if you're athletic, you can really make it happen. And vice versa. I think transitioning for all of us from baseball to wiffle ball has been a nightmare almost. But anyway, and then a couple guys I played baseball with. So really all over the place, all over high and low, behind every
Cast
rock.
a wide net to
Yeah,
find these
absolutely.
guys. That's cool.
And then, like, over the 3 years now, we've really started to be able to, okay, now we have more guys we can start to cut. And honestly, I haven't ever had to make any cuts. The guys that don't want to be
They
here.
do sort of fall off.
Yeah.
But that's like the main thing I wanted to push you to do this year. I was like, hey, I know some of these guys might really want to play, but if you've got 5 solid guys, really try to, maybe not just don't text them this year,
Yeah.
or, don't, maybe shoot them a text, but don't bother them too much to come back out. So you bring in a lot of crazy characters, a lot of interesting characters, and one of those probably more interesting guys to this point has been Spencer Schreiner.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is he aware, and are you aware that he is quickly climbing the list of most hated Circle City players in the league? He is the Patrick Beverly of the league right now.
Yeah, well.
Sort of gets under guys' skin.
It's interesting because I've figured that out pretty quickly last year. That
Wow.
he was one of those guys. Great attitude as far as, like, wants to win, but just is a competitor but doesn't show it well in this setting. Right? Like, it's tough as far as...
I love how political that answer was. You did
Yeah,
that so well.
The guy is bat flipping
Yeah.
walks.
Oh,
Come on,
yeah.
like
I mean, look, I've told him, and at this point,
Yeah.
if somebody, does snap, I've washed my hands of this, right?
Yeah.
Like,
he hasn't crossed any sort of line to this point. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being
Sure.
a pest on the field.
No,
Like,
I get it. I get it.
So, but
It's-
he's climbing the list
he is,
quickly.
and honestly, I've tried to convey it politely to him, and just said, come on, man, like, why are we doing this? Why are we bat flipping walks? Like, my God, like, let's get in the game. Let's stop worrying
got
about
the
it.
Yasiel Puig mentality.
As long as nothing boils over into a physical altercation.
Yeah.
We saw that with Wiffle's life.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the video.
I haven't yet.
One of the league teams had a dude.
Is that what the messages were about?
Yeah, dude. And because that can, and like they handled it really well. Jacob Davey handled it really well. But it can cause the league to basically, ruin things. But like I said, he's not close to that point. He's just being...
I love Spencer, but
competitive.
I just, I'm going to be honest with you. I think you guys can see it. Like, he's not going to be somebody that's going to be boiling over to in any altercation.
No, yeah, he will
So,
not. I can tell.
Might make me
about that.
boil over.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
That's the thing. No.
It's other guys we got to worry about.
Well, he's been a great surprise. He's been consistent. I think looking at the stats, you've had like a solid core of 4 or 5 guys that have made it to at least 7 games of your 9 so far. But who do you think maybe 1 or 2 on your roster has been like the main bright spots that maybe have surprised you or just have kind of been Mr. Consistency so far?
Well, I'm going to start off with Aaron Rodgers, not the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, unfortunately. But no, I think he's been great. He's been gung-ho about coming out. He wants to be there. And so I think he's one hell of a player as far as that. He's got a lot of I guess, positive attitude that he brings.
Yeah,
And he's fun to be around,
We like
too.
him a lot.
He can pitch. He's got talent.
I would be, I'd be wrong by any means not to bring up Eric Stark. I think he's surprised not only me and our team, but I think our league. And I think he's definitely in the runnings, if not the leader for me, and as far as my opinion, as far as an all-star from the Fat Kids. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I think without a doubt,
Most
he's
improved
earned the
player.
spot. Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. Yeah, those two guys definitely have been bright spots, surprises, and have brought a lot to this team.
So last year we were medium pitch, and like we talked about a little bit, Stark really struggled. Like he didn't hit the ball well, he didn't pitch well, and maybe it was because he was holding back or something. Because so he hit 170 in 2018 with the 170 slugging. That means no extra base hits. Okay, and we go to fast pitch, and all of a sudden the dude is hitting 293 with a 463 slugging percentage, 2 bombs, a double. So he's really stepped up, and he throws a lot of strikes, hits the board consistently, and he's been a really pleasant surprise for the entire league, I think. I guess, since we're talking about surprises, let's now pivot to the league, and just sort of run down, and let's talk about some surprises league-wide. Rudy, I guess you can go first. Who's like a guy that stands out to you as someone...
Yeah, well, first thing I want to give a shout-out to one of my own teammates that I brought on as a part-time player, and he may have earned himself full-time. We're still not sure as to when Brenton Fowler is going to come back from the injured list, but Alex has filled in admirably. He's hit a couple homers, including a grand slam. Alex Certain, if I haven't mentioned his last name yet. he's filled in well, batting lefty. I've been really impressed. He had a tough debut against the 8 Balls. I think he struck out a dozen times in a 2-game series, but after that, he's been...
That's a tough team to debut.
Yeah, I know. That's brutal.
We have veterans that are going to strike out every at-bat against them. So.
That should just be a rule. It's like whenever you're bringing in a rookie, it's like wait to debut them until they have to play a middle-of-the-road pitching team.
Don't wait till it's the fat kids.
Trial by fire.
Yeah. And then another one, I'll keep it, since I was just mentioning the 8 Balls, I think we'd all be remiss where he's at the top of slugging percentage and some other offensive stats. Connor Morris has been just hitting the lights out. He's hitting homers. Another lefty swinger pulling the ball into the trees, banging doubles off the wall, and he has just been the perfect offensive addition to that
that
team
was our
needed
huge
offense. Question mark
with the 8 Balls coming into the season. Is like, is Connor Morris legit? They need another hitter, or else they're going to struggle mightily. The dude sprays the ball all over the field. He's a double and triple machine.
It's tough to pitch to.
He's great plate coverage. He hacks. He fouls off. He stays in. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's number 1 in OPS, number 2 in slugging. I mean, he's doing it all. I think he's going to be a really good player for them. Another guy, I guess we call him a surprise, but he was kind of all of our picks for Rookie of the Year, is Will Smithy.
Yeah.
The dude's a monster at everything he does. I feel like he hit a grand slam off of Aiden, which was a shocker. He pitches a little bit, hits the board, has a nasty knuckleball, fields well, and he's another tough out. He's second in OPS. He's driving in runs, fourth in homers. The dude's legit, and I hope he sticks around for a long time. So,
is he from the Indy area?
Yeah, he went to Center Grove High School.
Okay, so let's keep him in Indy once. Yeah. For a few more years through college and after. I'd love to have him around. And
then my second surprise, I think, is Aiden Palmer's hitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We knew he was going to be a stud on the bump, and then we showed up, and Dylan and I kind of struggled a little bit to start off, and Aiden really carried us through a couple tough wins, and against you guys, kind of hit that backbreaking game-time home run off the top of the wall, but it's to the point, like, we're probably going to have to bat him in the NWA tournament, which is something I didn't think would have to happen.
Yeah.
Dan, you got anybody that surprised you this year?
The 2 older guys in our league, Mike Speak and Gary Borum. I know Gary's on my team. He's only been to 1 game, but he surprised me. And then, I mean, Speak for hanging around. And I mean, he's tough to play with.
He's banged up right now. Yeah. He is grinding,
Yeah, so those are 2 guys that have been a shocker. And then Aiden's been huge. And then, I'd say Will's been I watched that game. I was there keeping book. And that was a hard game to keep.
He's a tough out. Like, typically, dudes don't get up there and, like, foul pitches off and wiffle ball at bats. And this guy is just...
He had, like, a 12-pitch at bat.
Yeah, grinds it out, and then he'll just lace a double. Or, I mean, he's fast. Yeah, I mean, he does it all. So, I think we'd be wrong not to talk about Mike Speak Jr., who I'm looking at the stats page. He's not a surprise in terms of being number 1 on our pitching stats, but it's been an absolute surprise. He's got a .28 ERA. Number 2 is Mike Speak Sr. On par, he's got a 1.76. But Junior, we moved the mound back. We let him unleash it. He's throwing hard, and he is pounding the board.
Tied the
league record for 16 strikeouts, which was then tied the week later by another surprise player, Christian Leffler, who just flipped the switch in a game against the 8 Balls and decided he's ready to go. He's throwing over the top now and is probably the hardest throw in our league.
I'll tell you, that's been tough, though, too, is that transition. I could throw from that shorter mound. Like, I was great there. Now you move me back, and I can't.
And it was only 6 inches, and so I think it's all in our heads that we went to fast pitch. Maybe we're choking the ball a little bit, but...
Well, you've got guys that, like you said, are flipping switches. Like, Mike Speak Jr. is up there. Aiden, we knew was going to be good. Then Leffler as well. I mean, you've got guys that... Even Stark... maybe it was that mental. Maybe it is a mental block, but you got somebody that's I got an extra 6 inches. Now I got to bring it. And they're actually
Stark was an absolute home run derby last year, and now he's 4th in the league in strikeouts with 37.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's like maybe he was holding back last year. He was worried to throw too hard, and now that he's sort of letting it go, he's really found his stride.
I'm trying to process this with Junior. They missed the opening day tournament.
Yeah.
So they had to do some 3-game series. I think they've done 1. And their first game of the season, I think, was against us. And Junior goes out there to pitch, and it's a beautiful day, 6 o'clock start, and 10 minutes before game time, it starts downpouring. We all hide
Yeah.
out in our cars. We check the field, see if it's okay. We play. Junior couldn't get a grip on the ball, so he ended up like giving up a couple walks, ended up walking in a run. So started the season down 1-0. Is that the only run he's given up this year?
That's the only run.
Holy cow.
So
he
walks in a run the very first inning of the
25
season.
scoreless innings since.
And now he has, so let's just go ahead and he pitches another 4 innings, 10, 15, 16. He's gone 20 innings, 20 scoreless innings. Yeah, man. I mean, his strikeouts have been 12, 16, 14, 11.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the closest thing to untouchable in our league.
Whoever they play next needs to have in mind they just need to score a run on them, even if they lose.
Well, I will say I was pretty proud of when we played him. Like, we didn't.
You guys
score
hit him
very
well.
much. Yeah,
that was the most
we
surprising.
just couldn't get any runs in.
He
Yeah,
He
like,
broke the record, broke the
No-hitter.
strikeout record against you guys, but they had the Crazy Fat Kids doubled the highest hit total he was allowed to hit. I mean, he allowed 2 to you guys, 2 to the Pork Pistols, and the Crazy Fat Kids had 4 hits off them. And they were nice hits. I think Dan had 2 of them.
Yeah, I had 2 opposite field hits
Nice.
off of him.
Basically, like, you can't do damage on him.
Yeah.
He's got 56 Ks and 18 walks this year. And Mike Jr. was always a guy that we kind of thought of as, okay, he's going to throw it really hard, but he's going to walk a lot of guys too. So just kind of be patient and hope he falls apart because that's about the only way you can get to him. And that's just not the case anymore.
No,
not
at all.
Well, he's got to be the front runner probably for Cy and MVP then.
I think that, and so he was my dark horse pick for MVP, and he's not on any of these
offensive
leaderboards, but his pitching numbers are so good that if he can
Yeah.
crack the top 10 in these numbers, I mean, he
Right.
does have 30 RBIs on the year,
Wow.
hitting 333, 4 bombs. So I mean, if he can just be average offensively, he's going to run away with the
that
awards.
20-inning scoreless streak and the Ks, it's like he's putting
Even
on
the hits.
Yeah.
I mean, to only have 8 hits.
He's
given up all
having
season.
like a 2011 Verlander and recent Kershaw where they won MVP Cy in the same season.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I don't think that's a surprise in and of itself. Just like you said, we expected him to be great, but .28 through the first half of the season, like, man,
That's ridiculous.
So we got him as MVP. Who you guys got for Rookie of the Year at midseason right now?
The only thing dragging Connor Morris down is that he doesn't pitch.
Yeah.
Will Smithy does do some on the
Okay.
mound, and he's got similar offensive numbers. So my Rookie of the Year pick right now will be Will Smithy.
Yeah.
Does Morris still have like rookie eligibility since he's
Oh,
played?
that's true. So that would be like a Ben Simmons situation.
Yeah.
And we don't have a rule on that.
Okay.
Well, we have
This
to have
is the-
margaritas and decide that
This
one.
is the CCW, not ISWB.
That's
so
true.
he's a CCW
That is true.
rookie.
He's a CCW
Yeah.
rookie.
So.
Dude, I don't know. I guess so. Technically, he's not a
Okay.
rookie. So we're looking at Will Smithy because, I mean, there's been some solid rookies. I think James Hayworth on the Hounds has been really good. The Hounds grow Rookie of the Years there.
Yeah.
If Will Smithy pulls this off, that'll be 3 Hounds in a row to win. It's gone Reed Warner, Devin Hensley, and then it'll be Will Smithy if he's able to pull that off. So they've got to win some type of Lifetime Achievement Award for introducing talent to the league because...
Yeah.
Well, if we do decide that Morris is not Rookie of the Year eligible, Silver Slugger, he's definitely up there.
He's up there. And then
as a
we've got to talk
competitor.
about Sawyer Mitchell in the Silver Slugger conversation. He's a guy that I don't know. Did you play with him in years past? I know he showed up for a few games, but
I played against him. I haven't.
Sawyer was probably the original dominant two-way guy in our league. High strikeout guy, but also high home run guy. He's a big boomer bust type of guy, and he's leading the league in home runs. He's right up there in every other stat, too. Second in RBIs. And Tyler Gregory is one of the best hitters in the league. He's sort of carrying that the Moonshots offense right now.
What about you, though? I mean, you're sitting there right there at second in home
That's
runs,
true.
and second in RBIs, and then third in OPS.
Dude has struggled through the first part of the season. He's still up there, so
I mean, I think you've got a good push.
let's hope.
That's the difficulty of us playing in a men's baseball league. We're all discovering that the wiffle ball swing is different from a baseball swing. Trying to do it
a lot different. Okay, so talked about our surprise players. Let's let's just go through the standings, I guess.
Yeah.
Sort of. I don't want to go too in depth into these teams, but let's just talk about some surprises, some disappointments within the standings, or I guess brag about maybe our predictions coming to fruition in front of our eyes. So we got probably, the biggest lock of the year to this point is the 8 Ball's number 1, 8-1. Their one loss came to the Pork Pistols. Christian Leffler pitched his balls off and shut him down. Nothing to say about them there, honestly. They're throwing strikes, they're shutting people down, and they've added a bat.
Are they tough pitchers, or are they just throwing strikes and guys aren't being able to hit it?
You talking about 8 Balls or the
Pistols?
The Pistols, so they've got good pitching, man. They throw it hard.
They figured it out.
Yeah, and they're still walking a lot of guys, but who isn't at this point outside of the 8 Balls?
And they're grinding, like they're winning these late inning games that they have no business really being in. Because just this past week they were down 7-0. They ended up winning 13-9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because they will take pitches, they'll pick the right opportunity to pounce, and they'll find W's.
They've got like 3. I want to say a good amount of them are former college baseball players, and I kind of warned people of that. I was like, anytime you got guys that played college ball or continue to play, they play slow pitch softball. They understand the game, and that'll get you so far. Like that's already a huge head start to just know when to run or know when to try to turn a double play.
Well, it's a big headache for people like me who have 1 or 2 guys that understand baseball, but none of my guys have formally played college baseball, so or even played high school all the way through. So it's been a headache for me is seeing that. So that's absolutely it couldn't be further from or closer to the truth as far as that goes. So
my team, the Short Shorts, we're up there 6-2. We've struggled to throw strikes, but we've gotten really lucky. I think we could easily be 3-5, 2-6. To be honest, we've snuck out some really lucky wins, probably that we had no business winning. So. I'm happy with the 6-2.
Rumors that Aiden Palmer's on the trade block.
Not on the trade block. That was
trade deadline coming up, 4th of July, just 4 days away.
Heavy cash considerations.
Yeah.
Pork Pistols we talked about. They're
5-4.
That's the biggest surprise of the league. We ran a poll. And they tied with the Moonshots as the biggest surprise. The Moonshots struggles versus the Pork Pistols' success.
And the Pistols, all 5 of their wins have come against the defending champs, the Noodlers. They beat the 8 Balls once, and they swept the Moonshots, who a lot of us had as top three
team
in our preseason polls.
They've gotten, and again, our league is not what it used to be. There's not 3 teams at the bottom that you can just guarantee wins against, but they've gotten through the strong part of their schedule basically unscathed. To come out of that 5-4, to be in 3rd place, that's legit. I'm pumped for them. Great group of dudes. Our only comment on them coming into the season was that we don't know anything about them, and I think everything that we've learned about them, we're really happy with. And I'm pumped to have them in the league. Your Yackers team is 4-5, right there in the thick of things.
We're in the thick of it. I think we're in a good spot. We had a start with a tough schedule. We choked one away against you guys last week. Could have had a sweep. We ended up splitting. 8 Balls came out firing and caught us early. But 4-5 heading into a big series with the Pork Pistols this coming week. Could flip it to 6-5. Could fall to 4-7. I'm not looking past them one bit.
Yeah.
But then after that, we've got all of our division series set up against the Fat Kids, the Noodlers, and the Moonshots, and I think that's where we're gonna this division,
dude. Absolute crap.
The first place, the top 3 teams are all in the Crossroads division. 4th and 5th is tied between my squad and the Noodlers at 4-5. So whoever's gonna get that pennant is probably gonna be 10-7.
Yeah, right around 500.
Yeah, and I hope, I'm counting on you guys. I don't want you to beat my squad 2 times, but I need you guys to find 5 more wins somewhere. So my prediction about having 7 wins for each team throughout the league to come to fruition. I'm really looking forward to that because I think parity is the defining point of success in a league. Yeah. And we have that. At least we have a semblance of it. I'm really excited to see where it goes the rest of the way out.
After the Yackers, we've got another team that's very similar, 4-5. We got the Noodlers, the defending champs, but it's not the defending champs. Yeah. It's a completely different.
Started 4-1, and they've been swept their last 2 series.
It was tough too playing them. We almost squeaked out 1 solid win. We went 10 innings.
Oh yeah, that was the game. Noodlers, crazy Fat Kids.
Yeah, we went 10. And it wasn't even just 1 run to tie or something. It was we were down 4 runs or something. Yeah. And we both come back and that's where the pitching longevity's been tough.
You guys could just as easily be 4-5 too.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we're just off of that mark. So
Then 6, 7 in the standings. These are my two biggest surprises in terms of. I mean, I know they're only 2 and 3 games below 500, but I expected them to be 3, 4, top 5 at least. You got the Hounds and the Moonshots. I don't know what's going on with these squads right now. I think they, maybe just things aren't clicking, but Reed Werner's struggling at the plate. Yeah. They're not throwing strikes.
There's only 3 teams with positive run differentials, and the Hounds are one of them.
Yeah.
They're +1, and they're 3 and 5.
So just it's a matter of luck, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the Moonshots, and that's sort of been a mess.
Honestly, I think credit to you guys in the opening day tournament. You beating them, I think, is kind of like stuck in their head or stuck. It was
a shockwave. The thing is, whoever played you guys that opening day was going to get beat once, and outside of maybe the 8 Balls, truly, because that's a whole different squad. And up to that point, you guys had been a team that if you lose to, you go home with your tail between your legs. Yeah. That's embarrassing. 2018, you guys scored 20 runs the entire season. You scored 23 in one game this year. But this year's a different Crazy Fat Kids team. You guys are you've won 2 big games. You're going to continue to win and compete with teams that, in the past you probably wouldn't have. So, they've just both of these teams have to figure out pitching. But both teams are loaded with really talented, really good players. Keegan's been banged up. Blake's been banged up. They're going to figure it out. I have no doubt in my mind. And they'll probably sneak into the playoffs and make a run at the titles.
Dream scenario would be for that division, with I know the Moonshots struggling. The Fat Kids have a lot of potential, I think, could climb up the standings here. Us and the Noodlers, that pennant could come down to the final series.
That would
whoever's
be an
paired
absolute
up,
dream scenario.
we'd have that on live stream. We'd be doing interviews. Come on, get it on ESPN somehow. That'd be so fun. If there's 3 teams or all teams within one game of winning the pennant, that's
we've got to figure out a way to get them all played on one night too.
Yeah,
well, and that's how it was. I mean, that's how it was our first year as the Fat Kids. The year before we had uniforms. I mean, we didn't have any. We think we had maybe 1 win, and then I picked up some of we were talking about before. Some of the Hounds players
went on a 5-game streak.
Yeah,
and stole a playoff spot.
We made the playoffs. I mean, we went from being the worst team to stealing a playoff
Almost
spot.
beat us round 1. And then the Crazy Fat Kids at the bottom. This is probably not a surprise. The biggest surprise has been there's bottom and then there's cellar where they were, and their bottom's still competing to move
We're
up.
knocking at the basement door, ready to come upstairs.
Yeah. So you're scoring runs, you're throwing strikes, you're competing. That's been the biggest surprise and the biggest, a very pleasant surprise outside of the Pork Pistols, obviously. It's always good to have 8 really good competitive teams that could win a ball game any night.
To wrap up the show, what are some trends that you have noticed so far in the season, both statistically and gameplay wise, with our new rule?
Walks and runs and ERAs are through the roof, man.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. It's not. I don't think it says we have good pitchers in the league, and then so the really good arms are still throwing well. We lost 2 of our best arms in Shaler and Rogers, and we talked about that. That's sort of that's a big hit to the depth of our league-wide pitching staff. But outside of that, man, it's been I can't hit the board. I made a joke. It's Speak Junior's ERA is lower than my walks per inning.
Wow.
And it's crazy. I mean, and that says more about me than it does about Speak. But you just see guys struggling to make it through games. You see them struggling to hit the board consistently, and I think it's just something that we're going to figure out.
Curious to see how the second half stats, if those numbers will bounce back a little bit now that we've got our feet wet, or if it's just going to take until next year for those numbers to bounce back.
I think it's going to take some guys have to get some balls, and they need to throw more than. That's why Aiden has struggled his last 2 starts. I gave him 5 balls. We set up a little K-zone in his backyard. I'm look, man, just come out here and throw every now and then. It's tough in any sport, in any profession, in anything you do to do it this one day and then wait another 10 days until you do it again and be good at it every time you go do it.
Except our baseball league. I really enjoy that 10-day break because my arm is
no kidding.
We need it, dude. You go out there and play and you're almost on the DL.
Those aren't by design. That's just because the weather's been
terrible.
But
I'm saying that with that 3 weeks we had off, that really made a difference.
It did. Yeah. So the weather's been terrible. We've been, had some rainouts with Wiffle, with our baseball league, but is that a big cause as to why homer numbers are down because we started with some
Like
cooler
the
weather.
weather?
Wind was blowing in most nights.
Yeah, you get all these storm fronts moving in, and so whenever this is going to get nerdy, but whenever a storm is moving in, it starts blowing south. Our field faces north, and so it's cutting across and cutting down home
Left
runs.
field faces directly north.
Yes.
So
once it warms up, once the fronts stop pushing that way and pushing that cold air and storm stuff down, the ball it'll start kicking out. But
I think also to quote a movie that I love, Top Gun, you're holding on too tight. I think that goes for pitchers. They're trying to really grip the ball too hard, or they're tightening it down, trying to like really hit it, guide the ball in. Yeah. And I think hitters are doing the same thing. You've got a guy that's throwing harder, and it's from a further distance, and you don't know where it's going to be, and you have great pitching. You got guys that are just death gripping it.
Honestly, this has been the biggest single change and alteration to the league we've probably ever made, and almost overnight the style of wiffle ball that we played changed. So it's had some cons in terms of walks and maybe pace of play and how long games last, but it's opened the door. I was telling people it's created. I didn't even think about this when we decided to go fast pitch and decided to let people throw as hard as they wanted, and then the pitcher circle. There are so many more avenues to win now. So it was like before, when it was medium pitch, you needed, for whatever reason, you needed a guy that was able to throw strikes, and you needed a really good offense, or else you had no chance. But now, for the fat kids, if a guy implodes on the mound on a really good team, and you guys are being smart at the plate, they can sneak up and beat teams because they're able to walk, they're able to hit. Jesus, dude. Dan's over here ripping it. That's going in the show.
I don't care. I told you I had some bad gas.
Yeah, you can hit it. Where do we even go from there? So you can hit a dribbler. Like we said, we've got the pitcher circle now. You can hit the dribbler, which would normally be an easy out, but now you can get on base that way. So I think it's helping to elevate the teams that aren't as talented, and they're giving them more avenues to win ball games. Yeah. Dan, you have any trends, any things you've noticed from this year? Any thoughts, complaints?
I can't throw as hard as I thought I could. No, because honestly, I think about the last season when you said we can throw as hard as we want. I'm like, man, I kind of was doing that, but I guess it wasn't.
Wait a minute, last year wasn't fast pitch. That's the truth, man. That's what I told people. I was like, listen, I'm throwing as hard as I can right now, dude. This is all I got. I'm sorry.
So no, I'd say definitely the walks. That's been tough, and I've noticed that. If I can start an inning, especially the first inning's killer. Yeah. Because I gotta find my groove. I don't know. There's a weird thing, but if I can find my arm slot, my release point, I'm money. And there's games like the game that we almost beat the Noodlers on. I had it. I mean, we would go out and we'd shut down. We'd give up 2 or 3 runs, but they'd be hits or home runs. Yeah. And then we'd come back out and we'd be able to shut it down and keep. I mean, we were right there. Other games, I'll start the first inning and I've thrown a whole bucket right before the game. Couldn't hit the board. I'm like, all right, we're just going to see what happens. And I walk 1 or 2 guys, and that ends up biting us in the butt. Yeah. It's hard in the 6th inning to really, hammer down and try and come back from 4 or 5 runs down when it would have been nice to not have that. So
I think you nailed it. I bet there are less than 10 scoreless innings combined from both teams. Yeah. Because pitchers have just been having a terrible time finding the board early. Like we talked about, even, Mike Speak Jr., he gave up 1 run in his first inning of the whole season. An implosion in the first inning of his season, and he hasn't given up a run since. That's, for his standards. But for everyone else, I've had trouble getting out of the first. Aiden, he gave up an 8 spot to us. I don't even know if we got a hit that inning.
And these games, if you just strictly went to our scoreboard on the league page, you'd be like, man, is this a pitch to hit league? Yeah. These look like it's a home run derby out there, but really it's a game that it's kind of hard to get out when the ball does get put in play.
It's almost a game of chess,
right? And so it's a game of attrition. Who's going to make it through the 6th inning? Yeah. So
and some teams buckle. I mean, we've done that. We've had a couple games where we just get to a point where we can't, and then we just buckle and we cave and we just completely crumble.
I think I'm the king of buckling under pressure on the mound. So.
Well, do you guys have any other trends you've noticed, or should we put a bow on this?
You know what? I do. I think across the table, everybody's done a great job. I know we were terrible about it last year, but scheduling games and being there. Yeah. I think I don't know what you preached to us. I don't know what it was. Because, I mean, you never, like, pulled me aside and be like, Dan, you really got to get this figured out. You're not going to be here. But it was just like, this year I didn't want to be the laughing stock. I think that was part of, like, being taken serious. So, but I think everyone's been great about, being there, being ready, being on time, and then really being true to, I guess, just always being there, committed to making the league. I mean, because that's what it comes down to. If we don't have guys that are committed, like, this doesn't happen.
Yeah. And
so that goes out to all the guys, all the players, all the managers, like, but I think we've all done a fantastic job this year.
And it's like, it's shown in the quality of just basically everything. It's been so much easier on me, and then Rudy, deserves a lot of the credit for this. Without telling him, I kind of made him the co-commissioner of the league, and he's taken on a lot scheduling-wise. Late at night, he texts everybody, hey, remember the trade deadline's coming up? So he's like the perfect, right-hand man. And I don't think it was so much as, like, hounding you guys about it and, like, scolding you about doing it. Sure. We just needed to give you the tools to better schedule games and to, like, make sure everything was there. So we did the availability sheet, which has worked amazingly.
You guys definitely deserve a huge thank you. Yeah. And I think it goes without doubt, and I can speak for the rest of the league by saying that, like, you guys have made it so much, A, easier, but B, enjoyable to do that. And even to the fact that, like, having it, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday.
Yeah. And that was huge, man. Just mainly Tuesdays and Thursdays. We know what nights we're playing. We know we've got the cap on when the season's going to end. We're not running it out to September, October. Like, this has. I mean, I don't want to knock on wood and ruin the vibe or the flow of the season, but this has been the most enjoyable, most stress-free season to this point, and it's about time we figured it out.
Right,
it's 6 years in. So
you buttering us up might earn you a couple free wins.
Here there you go.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dan, you've been a great guest. We appreciate all that you do for the league. You've shown appreciation for us. Just want to make sure that you're going to be a part of this league for a long time coming, because you're a great manager, a great coach.
That's the plan, yeah.
And we hope to have you back on the show, Dirtyard Dish, in future episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, I'll have a couple more wins too.
Let's do it.
We'd love it. That's episode 2 for us. Check us out on YouTube. And next up, in a couple weeks, we'll be talking about the NWA tournament and the guys on our roster that will be heading up to Morenci, Michigan in a little bit.
Just look at this. Back home again. In Indiana land. Damn, man.